Where it is. Let's end the prayers. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sopadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we were discussing chapter 12, and I think we have gone till text 4 last week. Just to summarize what we have discussed as of now before we move ahead. So chapter 12 entitled Devotional Service, and it has 3 sections, 1 to 7. Actually, Arjuna asks a question about what is better or who is better, a personalist or who is impersonalist. Then Krishna answering his answer to this question in 6 verses, and then he establishes the progressive stages of bhakti, and more specifically from 8 to 12 verses, and then last section he describes more about the qualities who of the devotees who endeavor for Krishna, right? So, and then qualities that endear one to Krishna. So that Krishna explains this in this chapter. This is very small chapter, 20 verses, but very important chapters. This is the essence of everything, I can say, devotional service. Right? So till text 4 we understood about like Krishna very clearly in the very second verse. He says, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great transcendental faith are considered to be most perfect. So impersonalism and personalism, we discussed more about this yesterday, last week. So there are many types of yogis: karma yogis, jnana yogi, dhyana yogi, and bhakti yogis, right? So when we attach yoga is connecting to God. When we try to attach Krishna with karma, we become karma yogi, right? When we try to attach with Krishna with jnana, we become jnana yogi. In the similar way, jnana yogi and ashtanga yogi or bhakti yogi. So we take an example nicely that how these different things happens. Like we took an example of milk. A milk, we can see from our senses that milk is white substance, it's liquid substance. From ear we can hear about the milk. Okay, if you drink milk you can become healthy, it has calcium and this and that. So seeing, then hearing, and then we can smell as well. From our nose we can say, okay, this is aromatic white saffron milk, it's one turmeric milk, one is having a very sweet milk. So there are different ways we can smell about. And then even you can touching milk, you can say, okay, it's hot milk or cold milk. However, the best way or best advantage of milk is when you drink it. So when we drink it, we actually know the substance. Yes, it's liquid. Even whatever heard about the milk, that's got benefited. Even we can smell while drinking, and we can know as while drinking is hot or cold as well. So all things can be perceived by drinking the milk. The best way to get the benefit of milk is by drinking. In the similar way, There are different stages of bhakti, stages of yogas: karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, stanga yoga, and whatever things. And the best way is bhakti yoga, where Krishna says, those who fix their minds on my personal form, that is doing engaging in worshipping me. So engaging in worshipping Krishna is devotional service, right? So that we discussed earlier. And then in this verses, Krishna explains about those who worship or unmanifested. Unmanifested are, that's basically, unmanifested is our Brahman, which is all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable. However, uh, it becomes very difficult for them to go through this path, right? They have to control the various senses, right? And today we'll see Krishna speaks more about this process of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, where he says about this is actually very difficult, right? It's troublesome, right? Let's see from text 5. Please repeat after me if it's possible. Klesho
क्लेशो
Dhika
अधिका
Taras
तरस्
Tesham
तेषां
Kleshodhikataraste
क्लेशो अधिकतरस्य तेषाम्
Avyaktasakta
अव्यक्तासत्
Chetasam
चेतसाम्
Avyaktasakta Chetasam
अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम्
Avyakta
अव्यक्ता
Hi
हि
Gatir
गतिर्
Dukkham
दुःखम्
Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukkham
अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम्
Dehavadebhir
देहावबधिर्
Avapyate
अवाप्यते
Dehavabdavir Vapate.
देहावदब्धिर् अवाप्यते.
Let's repeat once again whole verses. Kleshodhikataraste sam
क्लेशो अधिकतरस्तेषाम्
Avyaktasakta Chetasam
अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम्
Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukkham
अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम्
Evavabdhir Vapyate.
देहवद्भिरवाप्यते.
Klesha is trouble. Adhikatara is very much. Tesham of them. Avyakta to the unmanifested. Asakta attached. Tesam of those whose minds. Avyakta toward the unmanifested. He certainly. Gati progress. Dukkham with trouble. Deha avadhi by the embodied. Avapyate is achieved. So Krishna is saying clearly here that for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in the discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So, for general people, it's become very difficult to progress through the path. Krishna is clearly saying that this attachment toward the unmanifested is very troublesome. Advancement in that process is very troublesome, and we'll see it more. Prabhupada slides a nice elaborate purport for this to make us more clear understanding what Krishna is trying to explain us here, right? So the two paths we are discussing here, one is the path of bhakti and one is path of impersonalism. What is impersonalism? We discussed this, last week. Impersonalism is understanding that the supreme Brahman is everything, nothing's beyond that. But we understand very clear that that Brahman, that effulgence, is actually coming out from the body of Krishna. And that is when we took many examples understanding this point, that there are three ways to understand, right? One is Brahman, one is Paramatma, and third is the Bhakti. So Brahman is the third level of understanding which Gyanis have, that Brahman is everything, and let's merge into Brahman, right? It has no form, it is formless. This is a kind of impersonal feature. They're the first level understanding, though they are good because they elevate themselves from materialistic life towards something spiritual, but that's not the best thing. And above that is what? Paramatma feature. The yogis, they hanker for that. The yogis, they meditate on the supreme being within our heart as Paramatma. That's the next level. And then the highest level is the bhaktas, a bhakti yoga, where they understand that Krishna, supreme being, he is a person. So three levels: understanding effulgence of Krishna, nothing's beyond that. That's the first level. And then when we move ahead, the second level, like understanding milk. Milk is a white substance. Milk is healthy for health. It's a hot or cold. These are different level of understanding the milk. But the best way to get benefit of milk is to drink it. The similar way, Jnana Yoga is this. Yes, this is the unmanifested, impersonal, inconceivable feature of the Lord. So where the Lord is, the next level, right? That's it. So Prabhupada says the purport: the group of transcendentalists who follow the path of inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and the person who are in full Krishna consciousness, engage in devotional service to the Lord, are called Bhakti Yogis. So Krishna explained the same thing in the very second verse, answering to Arjuna, that those who are attached with their mind and engage themselves in my service, they are the best. But now he's explaining a bit more for us to understand what to follow. And now here the difference between the Jnana Yogis and Bhakti Yogis is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yogi, although ultimately bring one to the same goal, is very troublesome. Whereas the path of Bhakti Yogis, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Lord is easier, is natural for the embodied soul. Why it's natural? Here the process of Jnana Yoga is said as very troublesome, but the path of Bhakti Yogi is said as easier and natural. Why? Because it is being said in the Shastras that the living entity is Jiva Swarupa hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Swarupa means what? Our real identity. The identity of sugar is what? To be sweet, isn't it? The identity of a salt is to be salty. The real identity of water is to be in a liquid form. What happens is, let's for example, if we put that water inside freezer, it becomes ice. But the real identity of water is not to be ice, because it has been put into a different condition. The temperature was quite low, so it has transformed into ice. But as soon as it comes into out of freezer, it comes into a natural climate, it becomes again liquid. So the real identity of the water is to be in liquid form. And if I say, oh, it's a sugar, but when I taste it, it's I could taste it as salty. So it means what? It's not sugar. So identity is lost in different conditions, but the real identity is always there. So as soon as it's sugar, it means it must be sweet. Yeah, it may be very sweet, it may be low sweet, depends upon the many aspects, but it should be sweet. When it's a salty, it's a salty. So different, we say there are different brands of salt. Depending on the composition, it becomes some more salty, some are less salty, but the identity is salty. In the similar way, the identity of Jiva is what it is. Jiva Swarupa hai Nitya Krishna Das. So being servant of Lord is the real identity of the individual soul. And that's how, by the process of bhakti, we do direct service to the Lord. Because the living entity has an identity, or the real identity of the super identity of the soul is to serve Lord. That's why it's become very easier, right? And hence Prabhupada explains more that the individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable, because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. So Jnana Yogi, what they say, yes, what if we engage anything, we actually bring karma, and because of karma, we'll have to suffer again. So they say we don't engage ourselves at all. We don't work. But Bhakti Yoga teaches us higher thing. Krishna didn't ask Arjuna to go away from the battlefield. He says, you are a warrior and you are in the battlefield. Now it's your duty to fight. You cannot go away from your duty. In the similar way, as a grahastha, we have the duty towards our family, towards our nation, towards every living being. So we cannot go away from there, but at the same time, we can engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness as well. That's the best way to engage our time, right? Rather than giving up everything, we engage things. So Jnana Yogi, they give up everything. Bhakti Yogi, they engage. Engaging in what? Engaging Krishna. Not engaging in mundane activities. Not going to pub and drinking wine, rather than going to temple and chanting Krishna's holy name and engaging in kirtan, eating Krishna prasadam. Right? That's the way we engage with Krishna. Okay. Then there is a word called as nirguna. Right. So nirguna is, the Jnani says Krishna is it's nirguna, it's nothing. But the nirguna, real definition of nirguna, I think we discussed last week as well, or maybe before that. Nirguna, it means Krishna is called as nirguna sometimes. Why? Because the three gunas we have in this material world, Sattva-guna, Raja-guna, Tama-guna, they do not affect Krishna. Krishna is above those three modes. That's why he says nirguna. We are not nirguna. We are conditioned by those three gunas, but Krishna is not, right? Okay. And different ways of worshipping, Prabhupada gives example here, saying that a crude example may be given here. We may find some small mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in these boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere but which is not authorized by the post office will not do the work. So there might be some red boxes lying in the street, but if they are not authorized by the post office, then putting a letter in the letter box, it will not reach to the destination, right? So maybe we can try some different processes, but if it's not authorized to go there, we won't reach there. Eventually, in Bhagavatam, it's been explained by Kapila Deva, saying that even if to get the perfection in the Jnana Yogis or the Bhakti Ashtanga Yogi, when they reach perfection, they need to engage themselves in bhakti. And Krishna says earlier, if you remember, he says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadate Vasudevam Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. The rarest among the men is what? Anyone who surrender onto Vasudeva. And how it happens? Bahunam Janmanam Ante. It's not just 1 or 2 year or birth. Krishna is saying Bahunam. After taking many lifetimes, many lifetimes, and engaging ourselves in understanding this theory, right? It becomes once that we take shelter of Krishna, right? That's how it says it's troublesome. It takes many lifetimes. And Prabhupada says very clearly that give this life completely to Krishna. If you success, you go back to Godhead. If you not, then again you can come back and whatever you want, you can do it. So it's better to give completely one life to Krishna, right? And Prabhupada mentioned one more important point here, that similarly the God has authorized representation in the deity form, which is called as Archa Vigraha. So authorized form of Lord is Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is the one which we worship in the temple, right, as a deity. So many people may say, okay, it is stone, but it's not stone. The Krishna is there. Krishna, Bhagavatam says, Krishna comes in 8 different elements for us so that we can engage in service. Krishna comes with wood, Lord Jagannath. Krishna can come in stone. Krishna comes with metals, things like that, right? Even sometimes Krishna has come as a form. We can make it from clay, right, and we can start worshipping them. So that's the Archa Bigra. It's not just barely stone, right? And there is a nice verse comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, uh, Pratima nahi tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandana, right? So what happens once one of the this Brahmana, he went to okay, let's discuss a bit on that. Archa Bigra is very important point. So what happens, like there was an old Brahmana, South Indian Brahmana, and then he went to Vrindavan for a tour. However, as he was old, but he was rich, so he took an help of another Brahmana, young boy. He was not rich. But he said, "Okay, I'll take care of you of financial things. So, but come along with me." So this young Brahmana, he took care of the old Brahmana very nicely on the tour, like to Vrindavan, and the old Brahmana would become very pleased by the service of the young Brahmana. So he said, once we come back and when time comes, I will get you married with my daughter. However, the young Brahmana says, no, it's not possible, because though we are Brahmana, but you are highly qualified than me, and you are rich and I'm poor. Uh, you may say, but your family will not accept it. He says, don't worry, I will do it. And then he says, okay, if you say this to the Gopalaji in front of us, he's a deity here, Archa Bigra, if you can promise this in front of Gopal, then he can become a witness for me if we go here and there. And the same happened. He promised there, and then they went back, and I'm cutting short the story. And when time arrived, the young Brahman went, say, okay, now it's time for me to get married, so please uh, let me marry with your daughter. And then as soon as the son and wife of this old Brahman heard about it, they become angry. He says, how can you think that you can marry with my sister or my daughters? And because uh, you must have made some different plan uh, when you went in tour. You, by seeing my father's um, huge money, you may have some other plan, so you are cheating us. However, this young Brahmana says, no worries, if I go and bring Gopal and he can come and say the truth to you, will you accept it? Then everyone agreed, yes, okay. And the son of the old Brahman, he thinks that, okay, anyway, it's a Archa Bigra, or maybe just a stone there, how can he come back, he can't come here. So that he was thinking. So but this young Brahmana, he went there to Vrindavan again. He says, oh Gopalaji, please come. And then Krishna says, I can't come, I can't walk, I'm a stone. I can't walk. Then the Brahmana says, Sakshat Brajandana Tume. The Pratima nahi tume, Sakshat Brajandana. Hey Krishna, you are not Pratima, you are not stone. You are actually Sakshat Brajendra. You are actually son of Nanda Maharaj. So please come along with me. And then he came, actually, he walked. And that's how right now that deity is in Orisha. He's called a Sakshi Gopal. So Krishna become a Sakshi, a witness of a old Brahman, of a young Brahmana. In fact, for the both, right? So that's the point. That's what Prabhupada says. This is Archa Bigra. This is not just an Murti. It's an Archa Bigra. We don't say Murti. Murti is an idol. It's an Archa Bigra. There Krishna is actually within it, right? That's how when we go temple, we should be seeing him as Krishna, supreme being, not just an stone, right? Or a idol. These are God himself, and we can actually communicate with them. Even we cannot see Krishna very well with our these contaminated eyes, but we should say to Krishna, oh Krishna, please look at me at least. It's 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 good to stand in front of Krishna. In one of the shastras we explained, when Krishna glances at us, he relieves us, he takes away to the spiritual world to us. So we said go and stand before Krishna. Okay, so we are discussing only one verse today itself. So far, a devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme Lord immediately and directly, but for those who are following the impersonal ways of spiritual realization, the path is difficult. That Krishna explains here, right? Okay, so let's see. Yes, this is again one more point explain here. So we are Satchit Ananda, isn't it? And Satchit Anand is what? Eternal, truth, and blissful. So eternal knowledge and blissful. So what happens in Jnana Yogis? Jnana Yogis, the eternity and knowledgeable aspects can be understood, but the blissful person is missing in the Jnana Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. In Jnana Yoga, we understand that yes, we are Sat and Chit, we are eternal and full knowledge. However, the bliss person is missing in Jnana Yoga, but in Bhakti Yoga, everything is realized. We understand that we are eternal, part and parcel of Krishna. We know that Krishna is all knowledgeable, and bliss is basically having a direct relationship with Krishna in different rasas. 5 rasas are there, right? And that this is missing in Jnana Yoga, but in Bhakti Yoga, this bliss point is also there. So Bhakti Yogis is higher than the Jnana Yogis, that being explained here in this chapter. So Bhakti Yoga is, they think Krishna as personal, it's easy, they have the Ananda, a blissful portion, but in impersonal it's become path is difficult, and it's only one aspect of realization, not the complete, and they realize Sat and Chit, not the bliss is missing for them. Okay, let's go to the next 2 verses. These 2 verses is Krishna explains about the bhakti, with simple and easy. So 5th verse, Krishna explains about the troublesome in the path of impersonalism, and 6th and 7th verse, Krishna explains about the simple and easy path of bhakti yogi. Let's see how much can we discuss. That's okay. Ye tu sarvani karmani
ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि
mayi sanyasya matparaha
मयि सन्न्यासमत्परः
ananyayeva yogena
अनन्येव योगेन
mam dhyayanta upasate
मां ध्यायन्त उपासते
tesham aham samudhartha
तेषाम् अहं समुद्धार्ता
mrityu samsara sagarat
मृत्युसंसारसागरात्
bhavami na chirat partha
भवामि नाचिरात् पार्थ
मयि आवeshita chetasam.
मयि आवेशितचेतसाम्.
Just doing the translation. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities onto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha, for them I am swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Can you see it? Krishna, he himself says earlier that the path of impersonalism is difficult. The path of Jnana Yogis and Dhyana Yogis is difficult. Now he is saying, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. In this section, there are 2 things. First part is what we do, chapter verse 6. 7th verse is what Krishna does. So this is in our control, and this is in Krishna's control. Tesam am samudharta. So mrityu samsara sagar. Krishna says, I take them from this ocean of birth and death. This metal world is ocean of birth and death. Mrityu samsara sagarat. He says, I take care of them. Right. And what we need to do, say the devotee, this the ye tu sarvani karmani mai sannyasa mat parah. So sannyasa means what? Is giving up, isn't it? A sannyasi gives up everything. So even a grahastha can become a sannyasi by how? By offering their all duties, karmani, sarva sarvani karmani, by offering all their duties to Krishna, mat paraha, by giving to Krishna. Then how it become ananya yogena, is ananya bhakti, like it's unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahitu ki apratiyata yatmadu suprasiddhati. So in that way, if we can worship dhyate upasate, worshipping Krishna in that way is the topmost one, then Krishna takes care of us, no problem at all. Right? That's what Krishna says. How to worship Krishna? Who worship me, giving up all their activities upon me, being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service, always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me. O son of Pratha, I take care of them. Right? So Prabhupada says in the purport clearly that it is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from the material existence by the Lord. Krishna didn't say these things in previously for the impersonalist. Right? It's for the personalist who think Krishna as supreme being and they worship Krishna. Krishna is saying clearly that I take care of them. Yes, so one thing to understand is very soon depends upon our intensity of devotional service. Right? It may happen like for Narada Muni, as he meditated, he could see Krishna very soon, immediately. And we could see Dhruv Maharaj, he could see Krishna in 6 months. Right? And then it might take us for 10 years, maybe next lifetime, no, who knows, is Krishna. So when Krishna will take care of this is on Krishna's duty, is Krishna's part. What we need to do is the first part, worship Krishna, give our activities to Krishna, be devoted to Krishna, engage in devotional service to Krishna, and always meditating on Krishna. That's an our part, and Krishna will take care of these things. Right? And in pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to him. So in devotional service only we can think. So what happens is Jnana Yogi is saying that I merge to Krishna or the supreme being and I become God. I become the God. So this conception is very, 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 very wrong, right? I can become God. We cannot ever become God. See, just imagine if we are God, then why are we suffering? Krishna, when he came, he didn't suffer. Even though he has 16,108 wives, he didn't suffer. He didn't have to work like we work for every now and then to maintain our life. No, Krishna has made palaces for each of the queens. Right? While Krishna was just some days, Putana came to kill Krishna, but just few days, Krishna killed Putana. In 7 years old, Krishna lifted Govardhan hill. We can't do anything. So that's Krishna. He came as we, and he showed who Krishna is, who Supreme Being is. But but the yogis and they say, we can become God after merging to Krishna. No, it's not possible. Krishna says this clearly that it's not possible at all. We are Krishna's part and partial, but we cannot become Krishna ever, ever. Right? So that's the real understanding. And hence, what we understand that we are actually individual soul and we are subordinate to Krishna. Right? That we can understand only through devotional service, not by speculating, not by making our own theory. But what we get from our acharyas, from our parampara, we take it, not create our own thing. So his duty is to render service to the Lord, and he does not, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. So there are two things. This is always two things. Either we service to Krishna or serve to Maya. What is it is? either we can be serving everything to our body, we may be serving to our family, we may be serving to our nation. That's one part, right? That's we cannot ignore, but we can be keep doing all those things. But when we turn our face towards Krishna, actually, even though we are serving our family, the service goes to Krishna itself, because there we understand that we are serving our family because Krishna has given this family, and through them we worship Krishna. Krishna becomes the center of everything, right? So, as stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. And these two verses very nicely, clearly explains. And Prabhupada gives a long purport. I would recommend, if you have time, please read this whole purport. Krishna gives very, very important point in this purport. Like this example, the purport of this verse is that one should not engage in different process of fruitive activities or cultivate knowledge by a mental speculative process. Rather, one who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all benefits derived from all other yogic process, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charity, etc. That is specific benediction of devotional service, right? It's coming from and then uh, and the simplest process is given to us in this Kali Yuga by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very sublime. It says, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, a devotee of Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. Because Lord Brahma says it to Narada Muni as well. Iti Sorachaka Namnam Kali Kalmasanasanam. He says, I have seen all the Vedas and this Kali Yuga, this 16-letter word, this Mahamantra is the essence. By this, it is Kali Kalmasanasanam. This mantra is called as Kali Kalmasanasanam. There is no other way. And Mahaprabhu saying the same thing, right? Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Gatir Anatha. There is no other process, rather than chanting holy name of the Lord, holy name of the Lord, holy name of the Lord. And Prabhupada mentions the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Saranam Braja. So Krishna at the end he will explain that Mam Ekam Saranam Braja. Right. Okay, I think we'll stop here. If anyone have any quick questions or thought or realization, please share. Otherwise, we'll meet next week to discuss from text 8. Text 8 till text 12 is a levels of kind of bhakti. In chapter 2, Krishna has taken Arjuna from lowest level to highest level, like do this, then do this, then do this, and Krishna taking from highest to the lowest. So he said, okay, first do this is the best, and then if you can't do A, then plan B. If you can't do plan B, then plan C. The plan A is the best one. We'll discuss it what those are actually next week. Hare Krishna. Okay, if there is no question, then we can close. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada
Jai.
ki
Jai.
Jai.
jai. Hare Krishna.
Next.
Hare Krishna.